Dear Dr. Spencer, my name is Antwillie Henderson, and I'm a part of the organizational behavior class. And I want to present two case studies for week 6. It's about companies and diversity within companies. And I have found two companies that I wanted to report on. The first one is a company that used to be a part of the Diversity Top 50 and of America. This was because of their high rates of hiring and promoting women, work life balance, and many diversity programs due to the efforts of the chief diversity officer at that time. The CDO was the corporate face of diversity and not the CEO of the company. When economic hard times hit, the company downsized and the CDO became a regular staffer. So that meant that the CEO then had to step up and become the face of diversity, which was very challenging. However, the CDO did not leave any metrics, and there was no time for training. So the CEO had to basically pick up where the CDO left off. The CDO became a regular staff member. And again, like I said, the CEO was not knowledgeable. He had nothing to go by, no documentation, which ultimately created a communication gap with leadership as well as the staff. Best practices were stopped. Employee resource groups ended. Management mentoring ended. And basically, there were no resources for the employees. Racial and gender diversity declined within the company. Blacks and Latinos left the company at high rates. Ranking issues with this particular case study and company. The CDO was the face of diversity. The CDO did not track metrics. A CEO should never have a communication gap. Employee resources stopped and best practices were not documented. The next thing was to evaluate the proposed solution and are they valid, why or why not. Number one of the proposed solutions was to make the CEO the face of diversity. I do believe that is valid. The CDO should have never been the face of diversity. While the CDO role is important, to run the day-to-day operations as it pertains to diversity, the CEO should be more involved. And the employees should know the CEO cares about all races and nationalities that represent and support their company. Meaning the CEO should always interact with the employees so they'll know that he has their best interest at heart and he knows who's working for him. The CDO should always track metrics to ensure that someone can take over and review the past data in case the current CDO leaves to ensure that proper transition takes place. A CEO should always know what is going on within the company. Nothing should catch them by surprise. Documentation of best practices and to continue with employee resource groups are very important with any business. The recommendations. The company's culture had been changing in the last few years due to downsizing. This was noted within the case study. Reassessment of the role of diversity and a new chief diversity officer should have met with the CEO and his direct reports weekly. Maybe even incorporating an external CDO would have been effective. So weekly meetings with the CEO and CDO should have taken place in the event budget cuts happen or transition happens. My proposed recommendation for this case study. The CDO, which is the Chief Diversity Officer of each corporation, should push for the support of the CEO. This will grow the consumer base and present it to the CEO as a business focus with data showing the increase in diverse representation, employee engagement, productivity, and innovation. The solution should be communicated via meetings, brown bag lunches, off-sites, weekly and email notifications, etc. This will ensure the message of diversity within an organization is important. The second case study, this next company was a brand dependent customer facing company. And it decided that the diversity leader was unnecessary and monitoring of metrics for new hires were not needed. Blacks and Asians were left a gap in diverse employees contributing on how to bring in customers from all nationalities. So without including the metrics from the new hires and how many blacks and Asians you had, there was really nobody that can contribute to how to grow the brand. You have consumers of all kinds that buy into a company. So you want a diverse group that can give input on how to draw those people in. The company theme was actually considered to be diversity is our DNA, which meant they took pride in having different races, ages, nationalities to represent the company, but they failed to record metrics to track the employees for creation of resource employee groups, training, and other things needed to ensure goals were met for company-wide results and responsibilities. The ranking issues with this case: senior executives failed to see the need for a dedicated diversity leader. Lack of resources, groups for multicultural customers did not exist. Customer participation lacked because the company was unable to meet the needs of the diverse customers due to the lack of training for multicultural employees who could provide input on how to draw the diverse customers. In order to evaluate the solution and if they're valid, the company should have taken a look at their diversity council, which was made up of senior executives. They should have ensured that the executives were diverse and held them accountable for training the employees and tracking hiring metrics, which consist of age, gender, race, heredity, and background. The recommendations that I wanted to submit. Leadership within the customer cannot remain predominantly white. So leadership within the company should not be predominantly white. In order to keep up with other companies in this day and time, companies must reach out and hire experienced professionals of different ethnicities in order to get their brand out there. Identifying gaps in a company is extremely important. Someone must be the eyes and ears in order for a company to be successful, meaning get out there, know who's buying what, so you can basically pull those people in order to get business. That would help you to stay afloat. My proposed recommendation is for both of the companies. Now, this is just considering the first case study and the second one. Both companies discussed during the case studies that they should incorporate some type of compensation bonus for the diversity leaders, which meant that metrics would be tied to compensation to track diversity within the companies. Diversity is pretty broad, including age, gender, race, backgrounds, abilities and skills, and religious beliefs. These are considered to be primary and secondary demographic diversity factors. The senior executives that can track metrics such as those listed above should receive a bonus, especially if the leader consistently tracks the data and update on a continual basis. Also, mandatory diversity training for both companies that I discussed is extremely important for the entire workforce. This will increase cultural awareness, and which is important. Should anything happen to the environment or the current leadership, anyone should be able to take over and pick up where the last leader left off, provided they have the training. This also improves employee engagement and the potential for promotion. In addition, there will be no room for employee decrease in participation nor the possibility of the employee leaving the company. By giving the employees the diversity training, not only are you having the senior leadership in there and the CEO, but it's also giving the employees the opportunity for promotion potential, because at any point in time, if anybody left, they would be able to step up and track the metrics, and also know who's hired, who's there, and who actually can meet the needs of the customers. I also talked about religious beliefs in there. You want to know those different things about gender, race, religious beliefs, because that's how you'll pull your customer in, especially for the brand facing companies. Money is not just geared to one race, it's for all. And if you want your company to be successful, you want to be able to pull in those different people. So I hope this was a good synopsis of the 2 case studies. And that's all for week 6. Thank you.